Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. Okay, I'm done with that. Hey queens, welcome to another episode of Morning Tea. Today's tea is iced green tea. It's Moroccan mint from the Mountain Witch Lady. It's delicious. Okie dokes. So, as promised this week, I'm going to talk about the Democratic nominees, presidential candidates for 2016. Obama's almost out, guys. Oh, I don't know if any of you guys have been stressed out, but I have been like really stressed out for the Obamas. Like, I just want them out of the White House. I feel like they did what they were supposed to do. They're the first black family. They handled business. They did it with poise. And now I just want them to be free. Like, I want Malia and Sasha to be free. I want Mr. and Mrs. Obama to be free. I just want them to be like free to go live their lives and like go underneath the radar the way George Bush Jr. has. He is under more scrutiny than most presidents. Okay, so let's talk about the Democratic Party presidential candidates for 2016. The first one is Lincoln Chafee. He is currently the governor of Rhode Island. I actually watched him on Bill Maher the other day, not the other day, like 4 weeks ago, and he seems pretty cool. He seemed pretty timid and like he's not a loud speaker. And so we're used to presidents having some sort of charisma, and I didn't necessarily get that from him. As far as his liberal views go, they were in line with my liberal views, so I was okay with it. Hillary Clinton, we know, is the juggernaut of this group. She has already run, and she has been the first lady, and she's like the rock star that we need. I don't know if you guys are liberal or conservative or wherever you land, who you're gonna vote for. Whoever is the Democratic presidential candidate, they need to be able to beat whoever the Republican presidential candidate is. So like, we can't go into it thinking like, oh, who do we want to be president? Because that's not necessarily who's going to end up president. You get what I'm saying? You have to go into it thinking who is going to be able to win so that at least a Democrat is president, if you're a Democrat. You feel me? So next we have Martin O'Malley. He is currently the governor of, I keep saying currently, I don't know if he's currently. Well, he was the governor of Maryland. It says 2007 to 2015, so he just ended that. The same thing with with Lincoln Chafee. He was the governor of Rhode Island, and it ended in 2015. I'm assuming when he announced his candidacy, or maybe that was just when his time was up. Next, we have Bernie Sanders, who I feel like is right in line with all of my views. Bernie Sanders is probably way too liberal to win the Democratic nominee, to win as a president. That's the only downfall with him. And then we have other candidates who haven't formally announced but are talking about it. Jeff Boss, Robbie Wells, and Willie Wilson. I don't know any of those people, and I could give you some information on them, but until they go on ahead and say who they say that they're going to run, there's no point. And then exploring candidacy is somebody named Jim Webb. And expressed public interest is Joe Biden. So that list is really short. In fact, there's only 4 people in the Democratic Party who have said, yes, I'm running for president. And that is Lincoln Chafee, Hillary Clinton, Martin O'Malley, and Bernie Sanders. That's it. And you guys know there was a long list of Republicans. So the Republicans are like doing the most over there, while the Democrats are like, look, let's put a couple of eggs in the basket. Let's put some really good eggs in the basket and see what we get, as opposed to having it being oversaturated with lunatics. I hope that you are somebody out there who votes, especially people we vote to Congress, your senators and your people of the House of Representatives, because they're the ones really in charge of getting things through, passing bills. All the branches are really important. So you really should try to like join and figure out what you want to pay attention to. You don't have to know everything, but be semi-informed. You get what I'm saying? So next, since we're talking about politics, let's go on into Obama. So this week on Monday, Obama said the N-word on a radio show, and everyone is so upset with it. He was on WTF with Mark Maron, which is a podcast. And this is the statement that he said. Racism. We're not cured of it. And it's not just a matter of it not being polite to say nigger in public. Everyone was like, ooh. The president said the N-word. He's black, has probably been called a nigger, so he can say it. I've been called a nigger twice in my life, and I'm sure Barack Hussein Obama, who went to Harvard, I'm sure in the 70s, in the 60s and 70s, I'm sure he was called a nigger. As far as nigga, like my nigga, what's up with that? Like that's up to debate, and there are people who say you can't, white people can't say it, all black people can say it, or minorities, people of color can say it. Personally, I feel like if you are part of a group of people that have a horrendously derogatory word that a white person is able to call you and it hurts you and breaks you down, we are all niggas and we all have to deal under the scrutiny and living in a country of systemic racism and dealing with a world in which we are not appreciated or celebrated. We have to celebrate ourselves. And if we don't celebrate ourselves, our country won't celebrate us. Here's the deal. Obama can say it. And if he's saying it in a way that he doesn't want to mince words, there's no reason to say the N-word. What he's saying is very, very true. There are so many people in this country who think racism is simply saying the N-word, simply, you know, being discriminatory. It's black and white, that it's something that's so obvious and like very tangible that you can do to be a racist. But what we're talking about, and what I'm talking about most of the time when I'm speaking about racism in America, I'm talking about the systemic racism, the racism that is woven into our society, the racism that allows many of the drugstore brand companies to not make colors in my skin tone. The racism that allows society, American society, to decide what nude is, and that nude, the color nude, is nowhere near my flesh tone. In this world, black people are very much the outlier when it comes to neutrality in this country. Now, people want to argue that, oh, hip hop is king and being black is so cool, and what about all the professional athletes? It's like, those are things that are undeniable, right? Black people have been really good at music and really good at sports for generations. Some of us will say it goes back to Africa and it goes back to just who we are physically as people. Like maybe we're more physically fit, or maybe we're more musically inclined. But I think a lot of it, especially in America, has to do with slavery. Music was an outlet for black people. So and a lot of times they worked to the beat of songs, singing in the fields. That's part of our culture, is just using music as a way to cope with the world around us. So the fact is that in 2015, we're at the top of that is great. But at the same time, as far as those of us, people of color, who are running the music industry, it's just like slavery. Black people are doing all the work and white people are making most of the money because they're the ones who own all the record companies and own the rights to everything. You know what I'm saying? So at the same time, yes, we are at the top of the game when it comes to creatively making music. That's very true, and I accept that. But it seems like we're pigeonholed into doing that and sports, and the same thing with sports. You can say that, you know, Kenyans are fast and black people are more athletically inclined, but the truth is that many black people who are descendants of slaves in this country are bred, and they have been bred for at least 2 or 3 generations. And so if you match up 2 thoroughbred people and you have them have babies, then they're going to have thoroughbred babies. And that's what happens. So yes, we are strong and dominant, and when it comes to music and athleticism, but we might have been bred that way. And that's part of what we have to deal with. And again, it's the same thing as slavery. The white people are still the ones who are the owners of the teams. They are the ones who own the sports industry. We're just the players. And it's also racism and systemic racism, the fact that most black people and most black males in this country really feel like if they're not an athlete or some sort of musical artist, that they're not actually going to be anything in life. We're now getting to a point where we're starting to see different ethnicities in commercials. And thank God, because that is such a breath of fresh air. It's even something as simple as cards, birthday cards, Christmas cards, any sort of holiday cards. Like the fact that there is a separate mahogany brand of Hallmark so that black people can go in, and now there's Sinceramente for Hispanic people, where you can go in and get cards that have people who look like you on them. If you go into a store and look for picture frames, and not everybody that are in the picture frames are like a white family smiling up at you. It's like, it's those little things that constantly remind you that you aren't the norm and you aren't who this country is built for. The world isn't filled with white people, and if we can have some diversity in the little mundane things, that would be great as well. And we're on our way. And Bill O'Reilly fights with people on his channel, on his show, trying to like say that racism isn't a problem, we're just race baiters. But it's like, I just feel bad for someone who's his age and can't see the truth. In fact, I think he can see the truth and he just doesn't want to deal with it. He's like, well, they're not in chains. We can use the same restroom. Why aren't they happy? It's gonna take more than that, Bill. Thanks, though. Something that's sad that's happening is Bobbi Kristina now has gotten worse, and it looks like there's going to be no positive outcome for her. So keep her family in your thoughts, and, you know, positive vibes for the family of Bobbi Kristina. The Confederate flag. So there's a lot of debate about whether the Confederate flag should be flown. The fact is that the Confederate flag is a flag of treason. So a lot of people who celebrate the Confederate flag are in fact celebrating an institution that held people in bondage for hundreds of years. When you're in power, when your people are in power and they're the ones who are making all the rules, when you try to take those things from them that they have, that power, they have to be able to hold on to something. And so those white people that are singing Dixie and want to have the Confederate flag up, they think that they're paying homage to a time that's past, but what they're doing is really paying homage to a time that was horrific for 12% of the population in this country, and they just don't care. Having the Confederate flag up is the same as having a Nazi flag up. You all lost. You fought for something that was dehumanizing. And if you can't see that, then you have a problem. Oh, and this is something weird and silly. So apparently Diddy was arrested a couple of days ago for attacking somebody with a kettlebell at a UCLA football game because his son plays football for UCLA. You know, people who are around the scene say that it wasn't true and that he was being attacked and he defended himself. But I think it's just so silly when the cops try to make examples of people. And maybe they weren't trying to make an example, but like, it's just so weird. Okay, guys, that is it. That's all I have to say for today's episode of Morning Tea. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please leave them down below so we can have a discussion. Okay? Have a fantastic day. Bye.